Distinguished guests, first of all, excuse me for not being with you today due to European Parliament's plenary session, which is being held in Strasbourg. It is truly an honour to be addressing you today during this conference, which is focusing on a review of the European Union's shipping policy. This gathering is happening on the eve of an important and exciting year for the EU maritime transport sector. And I'm sure that the Maltese presidency, together with all the institutions and all the relevant stakeholders, will provide the necessary impetus to place maritime issues high on the European Union's political agenda. It is a well-known fact that shipping is both an important and indispensable sector for growth and jobs, and not only for one particular member state or the other, but for the European Union economy as a whole. The EU requires a global, sustainable maritime sector that can properly address the needs of our society. For this to happen, the EU needs to maintain a safe, secure, clean and competitive maritime sector. Being a global industry, the maritime sector is characterized by aggressive international competition. For this reason, it is imperative that the EU's maritime industry remains competitive without compromising or lowering its high safety and environmental standards. Let me start off by focusing on safety, because I deem the safety of our citizens as paramount in our decision-making process. It is precisely for this reason that I welcome the fact that the Commission tabled proposals reviewing existing passenger safety standards on ships trading domestically, with the scope to further align EU maritime standards to international standards, while focusing on improving the implementation of such legislation. Throughout the years, EU policy has focused on refining EU safety standards, and the EU established itself as a forerunner in the area of safety, particularly through the effective implementation of international standards. Moreover, EU member states, together with the institutions and EU stakeholders, have been instrumental and influential within the International Maritime Organization to establish high maritime safety standards. Now, as to the environmental aspect, this is the time for EU shipping policy to focus on greening the industry and strengthening the environmental culture within the maritime sector. This can happen without watering down the well-established safety culture that exists and without weakening EU competitiveness. In this regard, future EU shipping policies should embrace also digitalization, as I'm sure that digitalization would play a key role in making the sector more efficient. On an EU level, we require the proper implementation of a strategy for progressively integrating maritime emissions into the EU's policy for reducing its domestic greenhouse gas emissions. Until today, international maritime transport remains the only transport mode which is not included in the EU's greenhouse gas emission reductions, and thus is not covered by the EU 2030 targets. On an EU level, we have a number of instruments which could turn this challenge into an opportunity, particularly with tackling greenhouse gas emissions and making the sector more efficient. However, the maritime sector needs to be proactive in reducing emissions, because otherwise we will end up with regional emission reduction initiatives. The main issue at stake is no longer efficiency standards alone. We need and want a more effective and more universal solution. That is the establishment of a reduction target for shipping emissions and hopefully a reliable global system in place. I am fully aware that valuable work has been carried out to address emissions from shipping on an international level, such as tackling greenhouse gas emissions from a technical and operational perspective. However, this does not fully address the growth in the overall future demand of shipping. It is thus imperative that we work together to reach common objectives. I believe that there is considerable potential for reducing emissions in the shipping sector. Governments and society expect international shipping to play a full part in the reduction of CO2 emissions, and I acknowledge that this could be done most successfully at international level. So yes, I do believe that IMO should be the one leading robust international action to push forward the shipping sector's efforts. Acting globally would take away the fear of losing the sector's competitiveness or of losing the competitiveness of certain regions or ports, and the fear of deflagging. We require a flag-neutral solution that does not damage the European industry. But the maritime sector needs to act, and it needs to act fast. It is thus crucial that the outcome of the upcoming IMO Marine Environment Protection Committee sends a strong and vibrant message to the international community that action will be taken to address greenhouse gas emissions from shipping. The upcoming data collection is the first step to provide the basis for informed decisions. We should not stop there, however. The urgent need to improve energy efficiency of the maritime sector to address future demand is crucial. I'm aware of the challenges to reach international consensus, but I'm also convinced that you, as important stakeholders, can be instrumental to push towards the common goal of decarbonization of the sector. I have no doubt that whilst shipping is the most carbon-efficient mode of transport, no one questions the need for the maritime sector to take on its fair share to tackle global climate change. I commend such gatherings as they are crucial in ensuring the involvement of stakeholders in the development of future EU shipping policies, and I look forward for similar events being organised by both the Maltese Presidency and European Shipping Week 2017. As you have done in the past, I urge you to work together to maintain what has been achieved, to strengthen competitiveness of the sector and establish sustainable policies to tackle environmental challenges. All in all, our ultimate aim is to help the shipping industry flourish, and I look forward to have greener ships built and used, and thus protecting our seas and our environment. Thank you, and I wish you a fruitful discussion.